I was with them in diapers, delivering newspapers with them. And I was so small that they could just put me on the dashboard of the van that they would deliver the papers from. When I got older, we did more air conditioning stuff. And in Florida, that's a really hard job because it's very hot. And when they call you, you're going someplace where the AC is broken. That's why you're being called there. So you're working in places where the AC is broken. You're climbing up into the attic where it's full of fiberglass. There's nails sticking through the roof. If you sit up too high, you get a nail in the back. And you've only got one light. And if it gets unplugged, you can't see anything, and no one can hear you when you scream for help because that if fiberglass insulation absorbs all the sound. So I have some of those same traits that my dad has, in that I'm super social. I love talking to people. You know, I walk around the street, I want to say hi to people that I don't know and meet them and just be with people. That's my thing. But I got the one thing that I got that my dad, I guess, didn't get so much was this ability to restrict that desire and attach it to value. So now when I go out, I'm saying, like, where's the synergy? What are the right people to be talking about? Where's the right place to be talking about? What's the right thing to be focusing on? And it's weird because now I'm almost absent-minded because I'm so far focused on the future that I let balls drop around me. Like, people are like, oh, you don't know how to get there? I'm like, nope, and I never will, because I don't need to know that once. I need to hire developers because that pays for the rest of time. Like, the things that we build will continue to work while we're asleep, that will continue to affect this world for decades in the future. And the more I focus on that, I'm okay with not getting directions right, or missaying some things, or not knowing anything about trivia, anything about sports. You gotta choose what you wanna be good at. And you know, in this world of very, very complex ideas, you need to drill down as far down one of these paths as you can and become excellent at it, because then you get outstanding rewards. You get a gold medal, everybody remembers you. You get a bronze, nobody remembers you. We're disproportionately rewarding to those that are the pinnacle of their field. And so the things that I'm designing, they're designed to be the pinnacle of their field.
Hey there, it's day 43. Welcome to the Hex Late Show. We've got a cracker of a show for you guys tonight. I've got the guys out the back. I've got uNrekt Pyrate. I've got Jexxa. I've got Bloobum. We've got a special guest, JFK 666. We've got some juicy clips for you. So without further ado,
here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up three very lovely.
Man, thank goodness. uNrekt.
here we are. There we go.
Good day. How are you guys?
Show on YouTube. What's going on, boys?
We don't often see this face in the house.
No.
How are you,
JFK?
That little tush.
Yeah, I'm a very poor substitute for Sammy, but unfortunately I am tonight.
That's right. You've gone to a lot of effort. You've gone to a lot of effort. We can
cancel. JFK had to cancel his appearance in the strongman competition to come and join us on stream tonight.
Yes. And if you're tuning in on the Discourse Syndicate Network and you've got your Hex stake, congratulations. You can relax. Tonight, like we talk about Hex.com, we talk about how Hex has outperformed Bitcoin and Ethereum, and actually outperforming every market. And there's also more mad. So if you want to learn about crypto, we've got an expert group here of diligent learners. We're all educating ourselves about the decentralized finance and the protocols and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to the conversation tonight. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things. So what do you reckon? Where should we start, boys?
I think we should start by someone has to turn down their background music, whoever that is.
uNrekt.
But is that on your uNrekt?
Yep.
Listen, I'm listening to Miss Monique, Year Mix 2021, and she's really nice looking.
Yep, that's
techno
awesome,
DJ.
man. That's
Maybe just
Okay.
keep it in your headphones, eh?
Anyway. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat, and shout out to give me a shout out to Hold Your Hex. Hold Your Hex, ask him for a shout out. So we love you guys in the chat. We appreciate your support. We come and do this because you guys are in the chat and you guys contribute. And that's why we come on stream every single week, because of you guys. So we appreciate it. And we're here to discuss things that you guys want to talk about, and also talk about what's been going on in the world of Hex, PulseX, and
As someone who's
everything,
regularly in the chat, can I say thank you, Day43, on behalf of the chat?
you're welcome, man. Thanks to everyone. It's all of us. It's all of us together. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. But thank you very much, JFK. Appreciate that. So
we all enjoy coming here every week, and like uNrekt said, we're all learning. This is a bit of an adventure. There's no real qualifications in blockchain, really, especially when you're on the leading edge. So we just motor along and learn things as we're going, and the strength of the community is what keeps us all sharp. And chat is always putting us back in our box when we get things a little bit wrong, which is cool. That's the way we learn. So yeah, happy to go on that journey with everyone.
Speaking of, I've got a clip here from during the week, and I'm just going to play this. This is our friend Bloobum, who got an opportunity to be at a conference this week. So I've got a clip here from that conference, and I'll just play it now.
Hello, Mr. Richard Hart. My name is Bloobum. I'm on the Hex Late Show on Discourse Syndicate with the Aussie Hex streamers. We've
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been one of the longest constant streams. So I've been in Hex for quite a while. When I first learned about Hex, I was like, oh, done. He's done it. He solved it. That's it. This is the solution. It's going to be simple now. Everyone just gets really, really rich. All of that money just gets filtered out to regular people. People start solving their problems locally, and it's done and dusted. But it's turned out to be this incredible roller coaster of a ride, an adventure, an unfolding adventure with so many twists and turns.
Yep.
We're now at a stage where you're about to launch a whole new chain. There's all sorts of projects coming onto it. The world has gone absolutely batshit crazy. It looks like we have, Russia and India, and China, and probably Brazil and South Africa. Probably those BRICS countries are going to have their own financial system. We've got Western leaders who are just utter morons. Who just don't
It's
know
a very
what
long
to do.
question.
Yeah,
It's the longest question ever.
Well, my question is, how do you see all this playing out over the next decade?
Well, I mean, we're participating in the highest performing asset class in the world, and it is getting more regulatory certainty in the United States and in certain countries like El Salvador, maybe Panama, maybe Guatemala, smaller countries to start out with. The price performance is probably the most important part for most people, and that's still doing very well. If we can get the regulators to stop harming their citizens by, for instance, China just made mining illegal. The EU just passed some gross law about reporting. And it's just technology doesn't solve politics, and at some point, all these very wealthy crypto people are going to have to play politics to get the government power structures to do better things. So it's unfortunate because it's time consuming and has a lot of overhead, but they have the power, and they very often use it to make the world a worse place with net negative decisions that harm everyone. So for instance, if you like law enforcement, you want law enforcement to be able to do a good job, what law enforcement does is looks for needles in haystacks. And so what does regulatory do? They give them more hay, and they make it harder to find actual suspicious things because they declare everything as suspicious. And it's terrible. And what they need to do is hire more investigators and file more injunctions and have more court cases and do more discovery. Those things actually work and prevent crime, stop crime, put criminals away. But this pretending that everyone is preemptively a criminal and violating everyone's privacy is how you create huge honeypots. So, the Department of Defense lost a huge amount of data to a hack. Equifax lost a huge amount of data to a hack. You're going to see all of these giant centralized pools of data get hacked and abused over and over and over again. And the only real way to protect the citizens is to not have the data in the first place. And so it disgusts me that these nations have rights clearly defined for the privacy of the citizens. Fourth Amendment in the United States, the United Nations Charter, individual states, you name it. They all say privacy is a human right and it should be protected. And then every single thing they do removes that. And you're like, guys, you realize you're violating the very principles on which the body that gave you power was founded. You're violating the principles by which you accepted the office. You're violating the Constitution. We have a right to privacy. Stop violating it. Privacy means you don't know about it. Just I do. Just maybe the person I'm talking to. You, government, you don't get to know about it. But the government just doesn't understand that. They think everything's better when they have more power. And then they don't look at how that works out. How that works out is, what type of government has the most power? A totalitarian government. And how does that work out? We've seen a lot of sanctions recently. Maybe it works out like that. These people need to be helped to stop hurting themselves. And politics is kind of unavoidable, unfortunately.
Yeah, I personally see us building around them. And as the economic energy moves into real people's hands, then that's how we build around them rather than sort of taking over those structures. But I've just got a couple of other questions. One is, I tried to tee up an interview with you and Nomad Capitalists. You guys were talking and all that kind of stuff. They tweeted out questions from Richard Hart. Did it ever happen, or?
I can't remember. I'd have to Google the guy's face. Let me look. Yeah, I talked to this guy. Yeah, that did happen. I talked to this guy, yeah. As you can tell, I don't watch his content, so I didn't remember who it was. But I have talked to that guy with that face that I just Googled.
Okay, so he's just not released yet. And one final question. I'm early on, but very, very excited about Hedron. I was wondering, at the conference, I think you said you hadn't looked into the incentives.
Claiming and minting looks fine. I didn't personally review the other functions, but I'm very, very weary and avoid promoting other ticker symbols than the ones that I invented. So, people have minted it, people have claimed it, people sold it. I haven't heard about anyone having any problems, but it's not my product. You know what I mean? And so if someone else builds a product, price goes up, cool. Price goes down, cool. I don't want it to bother my life. You know what I mean? So check it out. I mean, it's free. If you're a Hexagon, you've got stakes, it's free. I don't free stuff.
Okay, there's a lot. Thanks to you. Thanks for your answers.
My pleasure, man.
Well done, Bluey.
Okay.
Well done, Bluey.
What do we think of that? Well done, Bluey. That was good of you to get up there and ask the question. So, guys, what do we think about what do we think about what Richard Hart was saying? His answer to you, Bluey. He was basically said that we're going to need to engage on the politics side of things. What does everyone think about that? Bluey, you first, mate.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I don't think usurping their political structures, their power structures, which don't seem to work, is necessarily the right answer. But by the same token, I think that you've probably just got to try all sorts of stuff because government overreach is so bad all over the world that I think you've got to do what you think is, the solutions. And so that for some people that might be building around and building outside of governments and making them irrelevant. But I think they're kind of doing that by themselves just through their money system. You know
what happened in the EU recently in the last week or so? The European Parliament's voting on things to do with wallets and non-custodial wallets and KYC, AML. So I mean that is at the heart of what we're talking about here. Like, do we need to be talking to the other side of the people who oppose those people who are voting for these things? Who's the other side who weren't voting for it? Like,
Hey,
the thing is, hang on. Let me just answer that. So one thing that Richard said, which is absolutely correct, is their answer for finding the needle in the haystack is throwing more hay on the haystack. And so that is a really great example of exactly that. They're going to get, they want everyone to KYC any single wallet that, well, first of all, it's not possible, right? What they're asking, that law is just not workable and people aren't going to follow it. It's also
misunderstanding the technology. They don't understand it.
No, I think they understand it very well. They're just trying to push their way in as.
But the thing is, they're going to drown in data. They're already drowning in data, and they just want to. Their solution is for us to give up more and more privacy, which means more and more data, which means it's harder and harder for their actual regulatory authorities that are doing anything to find nefarious people. So they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah,
even more.
The way I look at it is everyone thinks there's a revolution coming, and I think that's the wrong way to look. It's more of an evolution where we're ending up with two parallel systems. So you've got the traditional finance, legacy finance system, which very entrenched, big players in it, deep pockets, aren't going to let go easily. And then you've got this parallel finance system, which is coming up, and it doesn't fall into the remit of their jurisdictions and their laws, and they're struggling to deal with that. But they've got the choke points under control at the moment.
Can I just say something about that, actually, Jexxa? Because I've been researching quite a lot about how to get crypto into fiat, and I discovered this website just last night, and it is called what's it called? Hang on.
I also discovered a website last night.
It's called Bitrefill. Bitrefill.com.
Before we get sidetracked with anything else, I do want to hear what the others have to say about.
Let me just tell. This is relevant. Bitrefill.com, right, is basically gift cards, and what you can do is you can buy gift cards with crypto, and you can spend those gift cards at all sorts of places. And Bitrefill has a drop-down menu by country, and you can choose the country, and we can put it up if you want, right? But this is a way of going right around the whole banking system.
Yeah, that's an old trick that's used in legacy finance as well.
And it's growing. Yeah. And so that's human innovation is going to leak out. It's going to all of these, they make up all these structures and all these banking rules and all this kind of stuff, right? And then everyone starts innovating and it all starts getting out of their control.
So that's fine. They give you a little bit of leeway with those cards, but they're capped at how much you can spend.
That's
on
not about politics, though.
I was about to say.
That's a tangent.
So
it means you can live.
Back to the original question.
Hey guys, listen. We can't all talk over each other.
Yeah. In the ring.
Hang on. Tangent. Can we hear what you think about this this topic?
I don't really have anything to add, although I do agree with Jexxa. Whoops, wrong way. That way on the whole, that gift card thing has been around for ages.
So I think you need to look at this on two fronts. So you need to keep building parallel systems, and yeah, they'll have their choke points, and we've got to massage our way through that the best we can. Once we get economic power and we've got the firepower, then you can go out and attack at a political level. Until you've got the resources to be able to affect change, and change by affecting change, I mean you've got to have dollars to buy politicians and buy lobbying and things like that.
Exactly, because the Australian government is a corporation of
JFK. You look like you wanted to jump in there.
Of Australia off the fiat currency, and the dollar isn't pegged to anything. So there's a political paradigm there. We don't buy Lamborghinis; we buy Lamborghini dealerships. So we'll probably have enough left over to buy a few politicians later. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm coming from a one-eyed Hexagon point of view here, because I do understand rising hex distribution, and I do understand about instant and delayed gratification. It's an important value with staking hex. So hex, and you chill back, you can relax. This is an educational stream where you can learn about, I guess, some of the new things that's going on. The change could be uncomfortable, and I accept uncomfortable sometimes. So you need to Anyway, that's just what I'd say there.
Yep.
Anyone?
JFK?
Yeah, I want to hear JFK.
Oh, thanks, guys. Well, I think there's probably half a dozen close to one-eyed hexagons. Although tangents a bit dodgy.
Well, I'm supposed to be attending to Pirates. See, I've got the eye pitch on tonight.
Okay. But look, Jexxa said it too. Like, I think, actually, before I get to Jexxa, before we got sidetracked, what Richard Hart was talking about was the inevitable transition of what Jexxa was touching on, that economic power leads to political power, and then how do you exercise that? I mean, there's a lot of contrarian sort of libertarian views around, which, hey, I totally respect. Much better than, just believing all that you're told. But you've got to have an alternative agenda. And that's what Richard was touching on. He was touching on the time where the economic power actually becomes political. And it's no longer just, tear it all down, it's all fucked, they're all lying to us. Or that you have to operate within the same paradigm, which actually, by definition, is revolutionary.
I've got a good idea.
So, I mean, I agree with Jexxa. If you're going to have a revolution, you've got to have an alternative.
First Nations people, they can run the country.
You've got to have an alternative agenda. You've got to have an alternative agenda if you're going to be revolutionary. So if you choose to be revolutionary, you've got to have something else to offer, or you understand that you try to tweak the system that you've got. I mean, there are shades of grey. You can be revolutionary in the way that you tweak the system. Anyway, I'd like to drag the conversation back to that. But it's good about
thinking about solutions rather than the problem. Thinking about solutions to the problem.
No, basically solutions on problems.
Well, I would say part of the problem that we've got is we've got around the world, part of the problem that we have at the moment is we've got a whole bunch of governments that are acting like what they're doing is completely normal. The way they're treating our what we expect, our freedoms, like they're non-existent. So I think that
it is completely normal for the vast majority of people. It is completely normal
by definition.
We're the fringe elements that.
That is true. In fact, I'm a drummer today.
No, you're right, and I know these. I know these people. Yeah. They're my friends. They're my family. And for them, there's nothing out of the ordinary. But nothing out of the ordinary. But everyone is aware.
Question everything.
There has been, like, what's gone on in the last couple of years has been strange. And
just a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Understatement, but yeah.
But, have you guys been noticing?
Maybe it's different.
But some people, for some people, it hasn't been that strange. It's just like, okay, we've got this issue, and we just listen to our government and do exactly what they say, no matter what. that's so for them it's just been business as usual, if you know what I mean. But most of those people that I've noticed, they're my police friends, they're my teacher friends. You know, they're the people who work in the establishment.
J43,
All the people. Hang on. All the people who are business owners.
One sentence question.
Yep. I just wanted
Hasn't
to finish
that
this
been
thought.
the way that people follow all through history, that they follow their governments? The majority of people have. Hasn't that been the human experience? My question.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Like a lot of people got overthrown along the way. A lot of people. Few people in France got their heads cut off.
Great point.
You know,
that's a debate. See, we're actually having a discussion now. That's a really good point. Yeah.
What were we going to say, 43? Yeah.
Well, rather than diatribes, I mean, it's not. I know only one of us can speak at a time.
I've lost the point. I forget what was I saying.
It was good. You can remember that one.
Back when I had the
talk. We're talking about that point that I raised. That people inherently seem to. All the people out there seem to follow it. The teachers, the police, all the.
It's the business. That's it. The business. It's the business. The people who are self-employed, they're the ones who have had to cop the brunt of this because they're the ones who have had to shut their businesses, told to shut their businesses, told to shut their doors. And they're the ones who have been like wide-eyed about this. It's like, okay, I have to stay home, but it's not like, you know, all the policemen, all the teachers, and I'm not just singling them out. They were just doing what they were told, right? Okay, fair enough, fair play, right? But
Hex is better than a poke in the eye with a blunt stick.
Thanks, uNrekt. If you stay at home and you're a business owner, right, you're not able to make that same money, so you're automatically losing, right? Automatically losing, and that was, you know. And look, we've been over this 1,001 times. We don't need to go over it again. It's just I think that's why there's a certain element in society that like their eyes are wide open about this. And there's another element.
They're the ones who have paid, though.
They paid the price, yeah.
Paid the price. And that's your point. Like, and it's so valid. I mean, you know, they're going to be the most rabid people.
Friend of the channel, Ryan Lopez. Shout out, mate. How you going, mate? I'll see you.
What's going on, Ryan?
Legend.
OG right there. OG right there.
Doesn't get much more OG than that bloke.
Hey,
whatever that means. I told some people down the street. Oh, apparently it's OG. Like, what are you in bloody LA or something? This is Brisbane suburbia, mate. Like, you know, what's an OG? Yeah. I don't even know. But anyway, let's not go there because that's a little can of worms that we don't need to open right now. We've got heaps of stuff like chain. You know, there's a lot going on.
So let me just give a little bit of a spiel to anyone who's tuned in. We usually stream about a crypto called Hex. It's basically a time deposit on the blockchain. You buy Hex, you can lock it up, and then at the end of the specified time that you say that you're going to serve, you get your principal plus your interest in Hex. And really, I shouldn't say interest, it's really inflation, but I won't go into the details. It's a fantastic crypto product. It's probably the most well-designed crypto product that's ever been made. I would say it probably is the most well-designed product ever made, created by Richard Hart. Now, he's creating a new network called PulseChain, pulsechain.com. It's going to be a fork of Ethereum. So if you've got any coin on Ethereum, any token on Ethereum, you are going to get a copy of that when PulseChain launches for free. For free. It's an airdrop, right? So I hope we don't get pulled for that. But you're going to get this. It's going to be the biggest airdrop in the history of crypto, essentially. So, you know, if you hold an ERC20 at the time of the fork, you'll get a PRC20 on the Pulse chain. And if you've got any Ethereum, you're going to get 1-to-1 Pulse for Ethereum. But can someone tell me why that's probably it's probably not the best idea in the world if you're enthusiastic about the Pulse chain fork, why it's probably not the best move to hold a whole ton of Ethereum? Anyone want to jump in there?
Yeah, the Ethereum, when it gets replicated across onto PulseChain. If you've got one Ethereum, it'll come across as one Pulse. I guess the kick in the gonads is it's going to be diluted by about 1 million X.
1.2 million. Yeah.
So it's not going to be really worth much.
Yeah, Vitalik's going to get $30 for his ETH holdings.
Yeah, so you got 300 million ETH or something, or 300,000 ETH? Yeah.
And that was what Hex was about in the start too, creating new whales or making new whales in crypto. It's a brilliant system. It's a meritocracy. Everyone has equal opportunity to get in there. But it surprises me how many people I still talk to that are very acutely aware of what's going on in the world around us and yet have never heard of Hex. So, it's important for us to share this message out because, there's more mad gains available. There's more mad gains possible, and they can be they can change the course of your life and all the great things that comes from having that tool or having that seeing that opportunity and dollar cost average strategies. That's what I talk to people that are just sort of like you. Don't try to overload them with too much information and just step them through and enable them to learn, because we all have to self-educate, so to speak. And it's important that the people that go in there and have a look and find out for themselves and read up about it and test it out and go in, slowly, will do well,
Yep.
And
Sorry, Einrekt. Yep. I guess before we get too far down the rabbit hole on Pulse, did anyone see the crypto? I think it was Crypto Exposed YouTube channel.
Yes.
That was actually
I
saw that.
That was great.
That was pretty fair.
Yeah.
Like that was. So for
There was
those of
only
you,
there was only one bit of logic. There was only one bit of logic where he just went, "It's absolutely not a scam, but I don't know why people like it so much."
Yeah.
Or he called us.
It's luck. He put it down to luck.
Yeah.
Well, he put it down to luck. All these hexagons just got lucky.
Yeah,
and that's where he does.
And they're just stupid, and they got lucky.
He hasn't got that last little.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand that a lot of people that came into this took the time they followed it for 2 years, took the time to understand what it actually was, how the game theory worked, and bear in mind, over that period where it was getting developed, nothing else that was doing staking and yield was really existing in crypto at that point in time. We didn't have the DeFi summer until, when was that, 21 or something. So this was being developed prior. So people that got in early seen what it was all about. They understood where it was going. So to just say it was dumb luck, I think luck is, look, there's always an element of luck, but you've got to put yourself in the right position to receive that luck.
You owe it to yourselves to protect your purchasing power by buying an asset that is going up against the other mark or the other inflation and things like that. So,
but we were there before it launched, right? So we identified something in what we were listening to a man speak, and it was resonating with everyone here. So that I don't believe that's luck. I believe.
Oh, no. So I was being flippant when I say luck, because that's what everyone says. They are so and so got lucky. Bullshit. They got lucky. Whether it was building a business or whatever, they put themselves in that position to get what people call lucky. So I was being facetious when I was saying that.
So apart from that, it was a fantastic. Apart from that, it was a fantastic little show, and it sounds like he's going to do a couple more of them on Hex. And
he did say they're not going to be as nice.
The editing was slick, and it was like, it's worth checking out.
Yeah,
for people
he didn't say the next two weren't going to be as nice. He said he was going to do 2.
Oh, whatever. I mean, he said he thought Hexagons would hate that one. I loved it. I thought, that's great. Yeah. And like, just because you think it's luck, when I know it wasn't, like, whatever. Yeah.
You put your hard earned in there, your blood, sweat, and your tears, and you thought you went in on something that you found to be credible and legitimate and amazing. So good luck to anyone that is staked in the lap.
Speaking of amazing, JFK 666 has been a busy boy in the last couple of weeks. haven't you, mate? Now
I'm
you've
retired
just
now. I'm actually
you're retired.
now. Yeah.
You got some time on your hands, and
So how did it feel to quit your job? How did you do it?
Well, it's sort of weird. It's just in the process of sinking in. Like, I mean, I really just almost feel like I'm on a holiday, just a holiday.
Your schedule's going to fill up quick, mate. I can tell you
Really
now.
long holiday.
It's in that way, it's sort of anticlimactic. All your working life, you go like, wow, when I retire, it's going to be, and it's like,
Now what do I do?
unfortunately, I mean, I hate to be the bearer, well, in my experience anyway, the bearer of bad news. I hope no one else replicates it, but that's been the experience. But I've had a little bit more time. And
have you got mates that are retiring as well that you can knock around with?
No, I tried to get people into Hex early on, and they all say, I've had other people go, oh, you won the lottery.
Hey, we should go on tour, mate. We should go on tour. We should go out to the desert. Go out to the desert, to the Broken Hill Mad Max Museum. What do you reckon? Be all right? Get a couple of hitchhikers.
I do it on a motorcycle. Have you got a motorcycle license? I have an e-bike, mate. I can borrow
He's got an
them
electric
friendly.
bike.
No,
license.
You're going to take that to Broken
I
Hill?
love it. I love them. They are
Drive
so
that to
good.
Broken Hill.
Yeah. Why
Hey,
not?
JFK, I've got one of your clips here.
Okay.
I think I'm going to play it if that's okay. And just
Of course.
before I play it, I just want a big shout out to Jay Everything, who's in the chat, who was the I don't know if you guys know, but TYRH, awesome song. Check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, great song.
Awesome song, which we premiered on the Hex Late Show a couple of months back.
Legend.
So, okay, so let me play this clip.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Richard Hart. My name is Bloobum.
Wrong clip. No, that
Bluey round 2.
Technical.
my apologies. My apologies. Let me just get that one. Ah, there we go. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll bring it up.
I choose business ethics.
Mr. Gordon, the American business environment has fundamentally changed following the insider trading and savings and loan scandals. Explain business ethics and how they are applied today.
I like how Joke is the moderator.
Ethics of business can be summarized in see, ethics are the thing about ethics. That question was not fair. That was not in the reading. I demand a new question.
Take it easy, psycho. You blew it, you lose.
I ought to blow you away, you miserable.
Well, go ahead and do it. Yes!
Get off me! Man, I'm glad I called that guy.
Max, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. A little confused, kind of sweaty, a little hungry, but all in all, I'm okay.
Somehow I told her about my camera.
Bravo.
There.
Bravo, JFK.
Oh, well, mate. Another
There
cracker.
was a rumor floating around that I would resemble RG3, but I mean,
You look like twins. You look like twins in there, mate.
he's like my older, uglier brother with a smaller dick. Yeah, but anyway. No, he's good. We get on well. We're mates.
Because you and RG3 like to swap dick pics.
Well, if he was your brother, you probably had to share a bath when you were growing up.
You would have been crossing swords regularly, wouldn't you, mate?
Oh yeah, the old captain sword fight.
How do you think pirates learn to fight with swords so well?
No, we love RG3. We love the Discourse Syndicate network as well.
Can I ask? What's Hex doing at the moment? And because I want to talk a little bit about Hex, but then I think I would like to talk a little bit about Pulse and PulseX and what's been going on in the testnet, because we've all been playing around on that. So, do we have any? Is there any TA at all around the joint?
Tangent, Mr. Tangent. Did I hear you say on a stream that technical analysis is horoscope for men?
No, that was me. I
tweeted that out as like a joke answer to a poll that I was holding.
It's not
so it was one of the answers in a poll. I definitely do not believe that.
And I'm
speaking
sorry,
of polls, speaking of polls,
in fact, let me word that a little bit stronger. I think that people that talk shit about TA, it actually demonstrates a level of stupidity. Like it's so like when people completely disregard it or act like the fact that because it doesn't give you 100% accurate results that it's completely useless.
The human factors. Yeah.
So JFK, what are you gonna do in retirement now? Have you got any plans, or you kind of gonna
well, this
make
year
tons more videos?
Yeah, I'll do that for a bit of fun. I mean, that last one was the concept was entirely T-Bird. He messaged me, and it was entirely his concept. I mean, he just sort of suggested maybe CZ could be the bad guy, and that wasn't a hard sell. So, and from that point on, it just got its own life. And I mean, I knocked it out in about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. So
nice.
I mean, I'm just getting back
shout
into
out
the thing as I can for a bit of fun.
Shout out to Alan here for the super chat. We appreciate it. $5. No one talks shit about TA.
Good man.
TN
TA
and TNA.
That Wizard of Oz one, that would have taken you a while. That looked like it had heaps of work in it.
It took me a little bit longer because I hadn't done it for a long time. You know, it's getting back in the groove. And it's funny because I bought this nice, great big Mac, which I'm on now, and I've still got the shitty fucking Windows one over here, but I still haven't learned how. I mean, I've got all my files on the shitty old one, so I just keep using it. I sort of bought the Mac to do graphics, but I can't transition.
and so, have you still got that plan? You were going to set up an Absinthe factory or something somewhere, weren't you? Are you still going to sell the cards, or?
And it put an Absinthe bar into Riga in Latvia, but that might take a year or two before that happens. I've got a few things to do there, but
we ever bring up the chart?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got to see how the situation over there progresses too. I mean, Russia has a history certainly of jumping in there, and I don't want to be.
Mate, I don't think Russia's going to be invading Latvia anytime soon, dude.
Well, it's done it several times before, Bloobum. 40 years of last century was occupied by Russia. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Well, do you plan on traveling, or are you just like going to?
Probably at the end of the year. That'd be nice. I could do a bit of traveling again. About the end of the year, I reckon. So I might catch up with you down the road somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Anyway, I'll be able to look at this cup and handle with Tangent.
Yeah, so I have to give credit to Bill Noble for this. A Hexagon asked him to do Hex when he was just charting different shitcoins. And he actually did it, which surprised me. And he identified this cup and handle, and I thought it looks pretty sweet. So I drew it on my chart, and here it is. So that's the cup, that's the handle, that's the target. So somewhere between 21 and 22 cents, if that plays out.
Mm-hmm. I'll take that. Sounds good to me.
Looks pretty clean.
Yeah.
Why
it's
not?
A good step on the way up.
Hey, Just want to come back to something. When you asked that question, Bluey, when you were speaking to Richard Hart, what was going on there? Was that some sort of conference or get together, or what was that all about?
It was a conference in Miami, and T Money had a thing there about PulseCon, and so there was the crypto Sparbook guys were there, and a couple of other Hexicans and stuff, and it was just like different. There was a number of booths, and
so just a general crypto conference.
Yeah,
and T Money had a booth there.
Yeah, it was called Crypto
cool.
World, or something like that. Crypto Worldcom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting. There was a couple of interesting booths. Nothing kind of too revolutionary. There was, but it was really interesting speaking to people one-on-one. Like it's so much easier to explain everything about Hex or Pulse or whatever when it's one-on-one. Yeah. And like we're kind of like we've got the knowledge now that we can talk to developers and people like that, and we can talk to
you can
like people in the space, and like we've got answers to a lot of their, all their questions, and it's just I met some pretty interesting people. I think I was saying in the chat, also just out of bars and stuff like that. Miami's pretty rockin' place. It was pretty fun, and everyone in their dog is in.
Sounded really interesting, Bluey, like a whole subset, like a little third world enclave.
Yeah, it's funny, hey. America's like that though, you can be in one place and then you just go, 100 meters down the road and you're in a completely different kind of like neighborhood on a few levels. Yeah.
As a traveler, that's what you want, though.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Yeah.
Louis, thanks for letting us know about that Hedron thing too, because that's really quite interesting. I like they added elements of game theory on that, and it's really allowed me to actually play a bit more with I guess learning and developing ideas and looking at the different protocols and things like that, and the liquidity providing and the pools and the farms. And I'm really interested in. I'm sure we'll get to PulseX and PulseChain a little bit as we keep having this conversation. I am interested in some of those opportunities, because I think there's a lot of really good opportunities in crypto.
Should we chat?
The only game in town.
Should we chat about Maxi a bit? Maximus DAO.
Hey, just before we do, Bluey, did you notice today on TradingView that Hedron's no longer on there? You can't access it.
Yeah, that happened to me while I was live on stream.
Yeah, and it happened to me earlier in the day, Tangent too. So I was just going to ask you about that.
I was trying to pull the chart up to chart it when I was streaming today, and the stream was also to tell people that I was on this show tonight, and I was like, "What the f?" And yeah, so okay, that explains it.
Yeah, I saw a few people commenting on that. It's TradingView. It's on their end, so not sure what's happening.
I mean, all the charts are still available. You can get them from Hex. Is it Dex.vision?
Dex.vision have it, and
and Dex Screener. I'm in there now, and it's still there.
Yeah,
their data.
Dex Screener, Dex.guru,
Uniswap,
Univision.
So it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a surprise. I had it bookmarked on my browser, and now I have to take it off.
Hey, taking a big step back to the start, I forgot to mention I was both surprised and impressed when I saw Bloobum step up and ask that question, because I didn't know you were there asking that. And Richard, as usual, absolutely nailed the answer. And I was just thinking, have you guys noticed that it's a one-way street? The waking up thing, no one ever goes in the other direction. Never. People only go from being unconscious to waking up. No one ever goes in the other direction. Like, you never see a privacy advocate like suddenly flipping back and being like, no, we need to surveil the shit out of everyone. No, that never happens. It never happens. It is literally a one-way street. And
I would argue that's not true.
That's the biggest indicator.
You're talking in like a binary term, whether they either are woke or they're not.
Oh no, not
I
woke.
reckon that some
Awake.
people do go too far.
For me,
and then they
there's a
might
big
step
difference
back.
between being woke and being awake.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's binary. I'd say it's more
So
like.
you know people that have gone back the other way.
No, that's exactly my point. That you're saying it's either one or the other, and I think that it's more like a sliding scale where people can get too extreme in their views, and then they quite entitled to move back and still qualify within your binary system as woke. There still might be some movement within that. That's all.
I'm with you on this one, Tangent. I think once you
saying-
start going in, a direction of like privacy and seeing that like free
sound
speech
money
and all,
and free speech
and all this stuff, I don't think you go back. You don't go backwards and say, okay, no, let me just defer all of this to governments. Like they're doing an okay job. Let's just you know what I mean. Like I think once you start walking down that path, it's just like, no, I'm down this path now, and I'm not going back. Like,
but what I'm saying
is, I guess is JFK. Are you saying like some people might become slightly less conspiratorial? But with what Day 43 is saying, with the big ticket items, it's pretty rare for people to go back the other direction.
No, I'm not arguing for that.
I'm
just saying that to set in binary terms, and if you set it in binary terms, the interesting question is, where do you set those terms for measuring? And if we ask 6 people in this chat right now, you're going to get 6 different answers about what that might be. So I'm just saying that there is movement. There is movement the other way. You were saying they never move backwards. Well, I say that some people do slide backwards, but I totally agree with your point.
The thing is that once you have knowledge, you have the knowledge.
But you can't unsee it.
You don't unlearn things either. That's actually a bit of a little misunderstanding. Like if I'm doing
that's assuming all the information that you get is teaching you something. Now we all know that's not the case.
It's not assuming that, but that's a kind of maybe a different thing. But it's like, for instance, if I do a handstand with bad technique, right, and then I go and start learning good technique, I haven't unlearnt the bad technique. I can still go back to the bad technique if I want to, but going forward, I now have the option, and it's the same with knowledge. Like totally. You get knowledge about this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like lying to yourself.
But you can't. Then there is the diversity of information from that point, and that's all I'm saying is that people. Tangent said it much better than I did. Someone can move. Oh, sorry, Day 43 said that. Someone can become less conspiratorial, or you can go too far down the rabbit hole. And in that example, you do move backwards by Tangent's definition, but you move backwards to what would be termed a sensible center or something like that. So to say that someone never went backwards is the only thing that I raised this whole debate on.
I think it may perhaps misunderstanding the point that we're making here, which is once you work out that, okay, we're working 40 hours a week to earn a wage, we pay tax on it, and then the government, the central bank is printing money, which is causing inflation. And so you're getting taxed, and then you're getting taxed with inflation. Once you understand these things, like these things that.
No, I think.
Guys. This is my fault. This is my fault for not making the initial statement clear enough and with our accurate level of nuance. But I think we all get.
I think we're all agreeing.
Roughly on the same page.
And this is what's going to really wake people up. It's the inflation.
Fundamental findings.
I was just challenging your statement, Tangent, that someone never goes back when they can move back and still be well and truly woke, but move to a more closer to reality, whatever that may be.
but as an example.
And you said no one ever goes back, and that's all I took umbrage with. Not any of the preceding things that when someone makes the leap into being aware of what a government is rather than it's just there. It's just, I don't care about politics.
But you're saying sometimes they'll go back slightly. You're saying sometimes they'll go back like slightly. I'm talking about they'll never actually go back to the the opposing
I totally
opinion,
agree.
like surveillance is okay or that sort of thing. Like there's no fear narrative that you could ever throw at me. Like you could literally go straight to the top shelf and stack them all together. Like you could be like a T word is going to go and do CP with and I would be like, I don't care. I still don't.
All I can say to that, unfortunately, you're in the minority. Unfortunately.
But I'm only in the minority because only the minority have woken up. Not because people flip flop. Anyway, I think we've probably spent enough time on this. Like,
yeah, totally agree, man.
Just why we're disagreeing.
It's pretty vague disagreement.
No, that's
it's a cordial one.
Tangent. I wanted to ask you a question. Just what your thoughts were, just in relation to Bitcoin, and I was thinking about this today, of what a complete like just the waste in Bitcoin. And when I say waste, I know what you're thinking I'm talking about. You think I'm talking about
energy?
Like proof of work. No, I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
Well, energy in another sense, the energy of the developers, the Bitcoin core developers, that they're spending like reviewing this code, which is like old, not awesome code. Like it was like the streets of Sydney put together in that way, rather than the streets of Melbourne, which were
nice and orderly.
Nice and orderly, right? So this is what I want to ask you. Do you think it's a good allocation of developer resources to be spending their time trawling through shitty code, right? And I know you'll disagree with that, characterization of the code, but
yes,
do you think it's a good allocation of their time when they could just create better code and just like start again and actually have a better like mining ecosystem, like not get rid of proof of work, right? Still have proof of work, but like you can actually do it yourself or have some other things thrown in there that makes it okay, makes it more decentralized in that respect. Like they could make Bitcoin could actually be better, right, than it is right now. And I feel like the developers, their intellect is being wasted on trawling through shitty code when they could be like working on a new, like on good code, like starting and working with good code. What do you say to that?
I think the main argument against anything like that, and so this is not necessarily my opinion, but Bitcoin maximalists don't
represent their opinion.
The problem with that idea of anything like that, in terms of anything where it needs to be basically started again for any reason, because you believe that the parameters can be improved, you don't like the way that the code is set out or modularity or anything like that, the accusations that Richard levels at the code. By the way, most people that parrot that accusation of his have probably never looked at any of the code of Bitcoin at all. So people scream spaghetti code because they've heard Richard say it, but they've never actually looked at the code. My point is though that
I can't read code. I'm parroting. I've looked at the code, but I don't know what I'm looking at.
That wasn't meant to be an accusation towards you. That was more just a general comment towards most of the people that make that claim. But the main issue that maxis have is that as soon as you redo the project for any reason, the people redoing it, their intention is to get rich. So they talk about this immaculate conception with Bitcoin, that it was the only time where a cryptocurrency was created where the people working on it had no idea that it could make you mega, mega, mega wealthy. Now, every cryptocurrency, the use case usually, like 99.9% of the time, is to enrich the founders. That is the use case of every crypto out there. And it's naive to think that that's not the case. Most crypto founders are like, we can get rich as hell off this, primarily off people who don't realize how easy it is to create a cryptocurrency.
It's like that ICO face.
So I'd come back with that tangent and say, are people reluctant to change it because then they cease to be getting rich off it? So that if you you make that change, and it's effectively not Bitcoin anymore, you've admitted that it wasn't the perfect holy grail that we all thought.
I think because backward compatibility is so important that if you change it, it's not Bitcoin anymore. It's something else, right? It's you could call it something else. It's like Bitcoin non-spaghetti code version or whatever.
Right.
Like
there's a lot of people who have a financial vested interest in keeping everything exactly as it is.
Well, I mean, you can frame it like that, but ethically,
wallets or Bitcoin in 2,000 wallets. Where's the distribution? You know, like where's the MECLA? Where's the network effect there?
Bitcoin's got the biggest network effect. That's pretty obvious.
What about the core of the question, which is the wasted man hours of the developers? Like they are developers that could be doing other awesome
There's not that many of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you talking about, OG? There's 4 or 5 people.
43. As in, before you can even start to mount that argument, you would need to first argue whether or not it's acceptable to actually. Do you see what I'm saying? Like this is a pre-requirement. It precedes whether you start to make that argument or not. Are you allowed to go and do something completely different? Does that ruin it? And my counter to this idea that Jexxa is saying with this financial thing, if you take the financial incentives out of it and don't worry, ignore that for a second and just ask yourself the question: do you or do you not want a cryptocurrency where you can store it and you can go to jail, you can go on holiday, you can, go into a coma, and when you come out, everything is backward compatible so that you can just go and spin up your node/wallet and everything works? Because I've lost cryptos before where they reissue the tokens or they make some change or whatever like that. And then suddenly you come back to your crypto, even after not that long, like several months later, you're like, oh, this one's gone up. I'm going to sell it. Whoops. These tokens that I've got are completely useless. They can't, they're not, and that's a backward compatibility issue. So whether you believe there are financial incentives at play, I would say that there's an ethical argument to be made for backward compatibility that allows people to have the confidence that they can hold it without having to go and look at their computer every single day and be subscribed to some kind of news feed to know whether something has changed in the coin that wrecks their ability to be able to access the economic energy that they're trying to store. Like if the idea here is to have a store of value, it is actually very important that you are confident that later you can actually retract that value out of the system.
And that will lead to.
I actually like what you've said there, mate. That's actually a pretty.
That's actually the definition
point,
of store of value.
That's reasonable.
Value or it's not.
And look, it's really important that the consensus of people about which is good or bad is very, very important for value, obviously. And so if things go and do stuff like that, they're going to lose all trust in people trusting in that coin. Like the people who buy the new coins, they're not going to hold onto them for very long. If
so tangent. Okay, so what about this? So everyone thinks Bitcoin is the holy grail, but is its lack of being able to that, in Richard's words, that modularity? So if you've got an ERC20 standard, you can have that the same forever, but have the underlying consensus and everything change without affecting it?
You can, but then because it's built on Ethereum, ultimately, look at what happened with the whole gas issue, with how gas fees became ridiculous on Hex.
Yeah, but
that's because no. But this is subtly different. That is outside of the control of the project that you're building. Because I like the fact that with PulseChain, there's going to be ethical alignment between Hex and the chain that it is on top of. So I think that's an improvement in both regards. But while you're built on top of something that you don't control, or that's perhaps doesn't have the same vision or direction, then that can become an issue. While that code can be locked and immutable, but then changes can be made So like, for example, say in this transition for Ethereum to go to proof of stake, if they just botched the whole thing and like it just wrecked it, then everything built on top of it is wrecked as well.
And going back to what Bluey said about consensus, can I make a quick point? Consensus, and going back to what Richard Hart said in his little video at the start about value, the consensus has a value, the community has a value. So, and that stuff's actually important in crypto. So when you come into crypto and you're green, you're a greenhorn, and you're looking around for blind Freddie can see that Hex is low correlation to other cryptos. So that's kind of like, there's almost like the diamond in the rough. There's a little Easter egg for you.
Yeah, uNrekt. That is actually one of the things I do concede that Richard says that actually does scare me, is this whole idea that all cryptocurrencies are ultimately socially enforced consensus networks. And that actually does, I wish that wasn't the case. Like I wish it really was as mathematical and as chip-based, like nerded out, where it's like there's no social aspect of it. Full nerd, full parents' basement, full just
I prefer that too, because I'm not like a people person. But I mean, I should say that I love all you blokes. I'll come on here and we have the conversation.
Come on, uNrekt. You love at least half of the human race.
Hey, it's hard to have a gay time on your own, isn't it?
Well, it's a different half than I was thinking.
I got some stories, but anyway.
So Tangent, would you say then that, would you agree that there's very, very little going on in Bitcoin development then? I mean, would you agree with that? Like, I mean,
yeah, it is slow, and then their argument there is somewhat in line with what we started talking about, that if you go too crazy with changes, then you will.
Okay. Not even go too crazy, but if you make any changes whatsoever, if you make any change whatsoever, you just, because there's no modularity, right?
The most positive way I can spin that is to say that that potentially demonstrates the level of consensus that is required. So it's almost demonstrating decentralization by the fact that things don't change very easily, because you need consensus among all network participants, users, merchants, miners, like node operators, all network participants. And if there's any disagreement by any one of those parties, boom, the change doesn't occur.
Let's talk about change.
Wouldn't you say that is like a negative? Like it just means for something that is like technology, and it was the first to come out, and its lack of ability to be agile wouldn't you see that as a major problem? I mean, I see that as a problem for tech. You want things to be agile enough. Like the problem that
I would say it's a compromise. I would say it's a compromise, not necessarily just a negative.
But isn't this the argument that's been happening with everyone that's forked off Bitcoin for the last 10 years? Like it's just like, they're just not doing enough. They're not making the improvements. They're not making the changes. So people fork off and do
Tangent,
it.
The way you can put that is their greatest strength is actually their greatest weakness, because if they want world domination, this is going to, in their words, Bitcoin fixes this or saves the world or whatever their catchphrase is. It can only go so far. So that store of value narrative, great, have that.
Yeah.
But you can't run the peer-to-peer currency on it. It fails at that.
Yeah.
level.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying in the sense that when it's something I disagree with Bitcoin maxis on, when they make comments such as, if there's something good that we ever see in one of these other crypto projects, then we can just do it on Bitcoin. That's untrue. Like and I agree with you. So they're effectively, it becomes specialized. It effectively serves that one function, and then it does not have much capability, if any at all.
Look, the reality is that just like in the fiat world, where it's not just one currency anymore, like the US dollar kind of like hegemony is going down. It looks like it's going to be baskets of currencies all over the place. It's the same in the crypto world. We have tons of cryptos. There's going to be baskets of cryptos, and they all do different other things, well, and other things not so well, and they all have characteristics, and they all have, memes, and they all have
Maxis will argue that on subsequent layers, those things will be possible. So you have this underlying network that actually is very secure.
But that's not what's happening. That's just diluted. That's just not.
You're pushing the security up to another level.
I'm just saying that's how a Maxi would approach this topic. They'd say,
who's had a look at testnet 2B?
Hang on, before we do that, one final question.
Let us.
One final question for me on Bitcoin: is the market cap all bullshit? Simply because are we counting Bitcoin's market cap twice because there's a whole bunch of it wrapped?
I think doesn't Wrapped get its own listing on CoinMarketCap?
Exactly.
When you're saying for total cap. For total cap.
So Bitcoin's value has been effectively taken and put into a bridge contract and then minted as wrapped Bitcoin on the ETH network and on probably bloody other networks as well. Yet Bitcoin's market cap still holds this top value, but the value's been extracted out of it.
Holy shit, that's a really good point.
Counted as...
That's a really great point.
There's a wrapped Bitcoin
but it only wrecks... It doesn't wreck the market cap of Bitcoin. It only wrecks those total calcs.
Yeah, the total cap's fucked.
Yeah.
The total cap's...
Yeah, look, market cap...
It wrecks all the other ones as well. It wrecks total 2 and total 3 because total 2 and total 3 shouldn't have it. Unless the person who is...
Lucky we don't give a shit about market cap then, hey?
There are many reasons the market cap is a terrible metric to compare things on based on, but that's just the reality of the other problem is what else do you use,
I reckon you should change the title for this stream and just go another reason that market cap should not be followed, or another reason that market cap is total shit,
total BS. Yep.
Reason
43.
So tangent. Sorry, I wanted to ask that quick because I was thinking about that this week. But the other thing that came across my mind this week was that you've got your Bitcoin, you've got your Ethereum, but isn't it interesting that if you look at Bitcoin, you look at Ethereum, then you look at Hex, right? Bitcoin has changed narrative. Ethereum's changing narrative. Hex was what it was. Hex was what it was supposed to be from day one.
Yeah, I'll concede
that.
So
that's why I think Hex is going to win the long race.
Yep.
I think it's going to win the long race because it was made. It wasn't a square
purpose-built,
trying to fit
designed
into a round hole.
Intention.
Yeah, so it wasn't a square thing trying to fit a round hole, and only years later, when it was convenient, did the narrative change, and now we're going to be like store of value. Like Hex was like from day dot, it was supposed to be like this from day dot. That's what it was supposed to be. So, but I just wanted to bring that up, man. I didn't want to put
43. I really, really, really enjoyed that discussion. Seriously, yeah. Glad you asked those questions.
Yeah. I just
now,
not that I
never mentioned Bitcoin again on this stream.
Well, we've got the CEO of Bitcoin here.
Yeah.
No, it's actually
uNrekt.
uNrekt took the title of Bitcoin CEO. I'm pretty sure. Or I
was chairman of directors.
You're chairman of the board, or whatever. And I was CEO.
He's board, chairman of the
board.
That's
right. You report to the board.
Yeah. Did you guys hear about that? I'm going to debate Richard on Bitcoin.
Does he know about that?
No,
he doesn't know yet.
He doesn't know yet.
He doesn't know yet.
I think. Hey,
I've had a lot of people. A lot of people think it is going to be an absolute train wreck, career-ending, digital suicide, and that has only made me want to do it more. The fact that that there are so many people that don't believe that I would even be able to create a discussion that is entertaining or challenging.
Of course
for him
you could, mate.
makes
You're
me want to do it more.
Mate,
Did you see
Tangent,
my comment on
you're a very smart guy, Tangent. You will definitely be able to, have a discussion with Richard Hart and make your points. No doubt about that in my mind whatsoever.
Thanks.
The real question in my mind is whether Richard will see value in debating you, because
Low audience.
You're woke.
Well, think about it from this perspective. Like, he may say, well, like, who's the new audience that's coming in? Like, who are we actually onboarding? Who are we exposing Hex to by this debate happening? Because what will happen is that the BTC maxis will say, well, he's a Hex guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you will be labeled as from their perspective.
Yeah,
I would love to see it though. I would love to see it
sometimes when he's not busy building stuff.
The way I was planning to try and pressure him to do it was because he did make that open offer that if anyone wanted to step up and defend Bitcoin, and it's just at the time I wasn't ready. I didn't, I was on stream with Jimrat Crypto at the time, and I was like, man, I want to get in there and defend Bitcoin against some of these things that I disagree with Richard on. But because I'd had zero prep time, I wasn't just going to go into Twitter Spaces and just get wrecked. And also his tone was like fire. It was scorched earth level Richard Hart. Do you remember his tone in that Twitter Spaces? I was like, man, I'm not going in there. Jim Rat was calling me a pussy. He was like, dude,
can you next time you talk to Jim Rat, can you tell him?
You go.
Tangent, you messaged me, I think, during that, and you like, I think you messaged me, maybe.
Yeah, I think I did.
I messaged you, and you're like, should I jump in this? And I'm like, I think I said something along the lines of, dude, just like when you see him in real life, just speak to him then.
I remember that. Yes, I remember. We definitely had that discussion. Yes.
But you could have gone in, and you could have gone in. I mean, like,
I could have gone in there with like 1 or 2 points or something, rather than trying to like actually win a debate. But I just thought it's
a tangent though. This is just an intellectual exercise for you, because your behavior shows that you are anything but a maxi.
I'm definitely not a Bitcoin maxi.
You have some magic moments, Tangent.
Like, and I'm not against BTC either. I run a BTC node, and I don't even own BTC. I run a fucking node. I don't own BTC. Go fucking pipe and smoke it.
Respect.
Supporting a network, mate. That's being giving unselfishly. That's the law of reciprocation.
The fact that if you've found your way to Hex and you were already in crypto, you are by the very definition not a maxi of anything, and now we're looking at Pulse and PulseX and all that. Now I know that falls under the RH ecosystem, but I don't think anyone should close their eyes off to what's going on around them.
I'm so excited about Pulse.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Oh, I'm pumped. Let's get on the testnet. Come on, because I've been trying to smash shit up in there. I'm I've got pressing all the buttons, going, let's go.
I've got something here. I've got something, just on the whole disagreement side of things. We'll just run with this thread for the time being. I've got something here. Thanks, Jexxa. Sent it through to me earlier.
Time put Einstein on the cover of its magazine as the person of the century. And I really think that was a great choice, because Einstein has done so many things that have really changed the way we think about the world and have changed our lives. All of these things, Brownian motion, the understanding of stimulated emission gave us lasers. Where would we be without lasers? Without general relativity, GPS wouldn't work. The photoelectric effect was the beginning of quantum mechanics, which dominates our lives. But probably the thing that Einstein is best known for is his theory of special relativity. With that theory, he changed the way we think about space and time itself. Before Einstein, people thought that space and time were like a fixed stage on which the events of the universe played themselves out. And what Einstein taught us was that space and time are actually part of the action, that the stage is not fixed. It depends on who's looking at it and what's going on, what the nature of that stage is.
So I go back to, what did Einstein invent that was at all practical? And that guy kind of just sort of pointed to some things that changed our perspective of something, right?
So you're doubling down on this, aren't you?
He did.
I'm totally doubling down, man.
Children. He did a lot.
That guy didn't say jack shit. That guy didn't say jack shit.
He was a humanitarian.
This is
well.
foundational elements of science.
Dude, GPS, man, that seems pretty practical.
No, exactly. That's absolute horse shit. You telling me that?
How dare you? I love you, Bluey.
What did he say?
Wrong, mate.
That relativity led us to be able to have GPS. That's just horse shit. How do you?
How dare you?
No, that's not what he said.
I'm going to get Jake London sitting around your place. No, no, I'm only stuffing around. This all good.
We're just stuffing around, mate.
To debate me?
No, I've got a bait and switch for you. I'll tell you later if I get time. If I let me indulge a little story.
Practicalities from someone who's
Jake
doing
London,
something in theoretical physics.
So I didn't hear that question.
How can you ask for practical demonstrations of someone who's working in the field of theoretical physics?
Yeah, that's my point. It's theoretical. Like, it's just Einstein was just like a mathematician, basically.
So what you're saying is no experimental scientist would have been able to run their experiments if they didn't have that theory to base their experiments on.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Well, that's exactly what they would have done. So he's come up with theories, and then the experimental guys would have actually ran the tests and proven it. So
look, I'm open to someone demonstrating to me how one of Einstein's theories led to something practical.
Like, this is a segment. This is a new segment for the Hex Late Show. Convince Bluey, like,
what the fuck has Einstein done?
Bro, I'm pretty sure that I've thrown out all of my high school science books, so I don't think I can participate in this segment.
I don't think any of us really have an understanding of theoretical physics.
They didn't have computers back then.
Yeah, enter into the debate, but be that as it may.
I mean, so if you're arguing that you don't believe that he was the one who invented these ideas, that he didn't come up with these concepts, then that would be something different. But if you agree that he came up with these concepts, then they are foundational to modern physics.
But not in terms of actually physics that actually has a practical use that does anything. Like, all Einstein did was come up with different ways of looking at things, and then made up a whole lot of maths to try to prove that.
Can you imagine Bluey coming into the classroom and just kicking the chalkboard over? It's like got E equals MC squared written on it, and he's just like, "What is this nonsense? Like, I can't build any shit with this. Like, what the fuck?" Like, so your criticism is that he wasn't an inventor, that he was a theoretical physicist, and so that there wasn't any invention that came out directly from him. That's your.
Look, maybe he had interesting ideas. I can't understand why people deify him like they do and put him up on such a high pedestal when in actuality,
man of the century. Man of the century.
43. That actually supports Bluey's point. So that's in his favor, that because they have put him up on a level, person of the century. That actually helps him prove helps Bluey prove his point that he's overhyped.
Day 43 is busy throwing petrol on the fire here, and you're trying to extinguish it.
Sort of.
Let him go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Einstein's overhyped. I'm yet to be convinced that Einstein is overhyped. I'm yet to be convinced. In the same way that Bloobum is not convinced that he's worthy of any hype whatsoever. I'm
Can
really
I
not listening
ask
to
a
this
question?
I mean, maybe he was an interesting guy, a smart guy that did some interesting work.
Bro,
but,
the
I just don't-
haircut, bro. You got to respect the haircut back in the day. Got to respect that haircut.
Who would you have as person of the century, or who's the first person that comes to mind that you would put ahead of Einstein?
Well, in terms of the same kind of area, you'd have to look at Tesla. Like
Yeah,
he
that's
at least
fair.
came up with, like AC/DC and stuff, didn't he?
That's a
and
fair
like
call.
like things
That's a
that
fair
actually had practical use.
And maybe you'd go with like the Wright brothers or something because they actually did.
Walking,
Actually, there were
blackboard and spray paint E equals MC squared on it.
There was an Indian guy apparently
You know-
I was watching recently who had a flying machine and demonstrated it before the Wright brothers.
Damn.
So the Wright brothers weren't the first people to have a flying machine.
That's the old case of who gets to write
What about
history, isn't it?
Leonardo da Vinci? Hey,
Ah,
Maybe they're related. Maybe they're related to Craig Wright, and that's why. They're just full of shit. They're just full of shit, and they just pretended Craig Wright is a direct descendant of the Wright brothers, and they just plagiarized that shit. Said it was their invention.
They're fake.
the first man to make Bitcoin fly.
So yeah, Tesla would be up there.
so guys, Sammy's not here this week. We need a hexagon of the week. Who do you guys reckon? Who do you guys reckon is hexagon of the week?
Is that Hexagon Legends? Oh, there we go.
Bloobum for asking that great question that went on 5 minutes.
Come on, it's a funny farm time.
Yes. Okay.
Mate, people
Blue
have asked
Bump-
way longer questions of Richard Hart than that
Funny
one.
farm
Come
time.
on.
That's
And also, I'd just like to point out,
Lots of plum trees, a sheep, a two, a kangaroo, a clothesline out the back.
That's a knife. All I had was me undies on.
Oh, what's the sound?
Good stuff, Bluey, hexagon legend.
thank you.
We keep winning it in house. Like we're just going through one by one. It was Mayo the other week, Bluey this week.
Rigged.
We're just winning it ourselves. Hey, we're gonna give these
Hey,
t-shirts.
we're smashing the pond queens. Hey, you want to know? I'll tell you a good story about Mayo. If you let me indulge just quickly, because I know that no, I'll save it because I think there's more important things than me sort of telling funny stories about women and things like this.
No, go for it, man.
Oh, okay, I have a covert device in my hand, and so it looks like I'm holding a pen.
It's a vibrator.
But I'm actually holding a. It's actually like a vibrator for a woman, and I've actually got several women off with it. And when you're sitting at a party and you're talking and you're like there with your pen, and you say, "Can you just hold this for a sec?" And she's like, "What's this?" And then I said, "Oh yeah, see that? It's been up that girl's vagina," and she loved it. And then she's like, "Oh," drops the pen and walks off. So that was like big fail, massive fail on my behalf. Being crass and using a bit of lowbrow on talking to nice, attractive young ladies. But unless you go in there and try and have a go.
You don't know if you don't try.
I'm all for it. I think that's an excellent. I think that's an excellent pickup line.
He was about to give us our wisdom, and then he's gone.
Restream rugged in. Jexxa, do you have the bitch tits of the week?
Yeah, I'm just
data
putting together now, and don't know what you're about, uNrekt. I'm on to you, buddy. He's frozen.
Actually, I'll just make this one point about person of the century. I don't think anyone is a genius. I don't think.
Let it go, Bluey.
You really don't like Einstein.
I don't think anyone in the world is a genius. I don't think anyone ever is a genius. I think people have the opportunity to make things of genius, but people are people, and they do a lot of.
You don't think
dumb
anyone's
shit as
genius?
well.
You admit there's
What about
different
Richard
intellect
Hart?
levels, right? There is different intellect levels. There are people that are smarter than others. Genius is just like, it's not, there's no strict definition. It's just someone that's really, really smart. So their IQ is just off the charts.
But that's why it's so difficult, because there's no easy definition. Like, what is
that's true.
intelligence?
There's no strict definition of what a genius is. I
But,
mean, on one of my
I do get the sense that certain people are smarter than other people.
Oh, dude, that's definitely that's almost certainly that's almost.
But also,
certainly.
you have to look past a lot of the kind of like, people can also be full of shit and sound very impressive and actually be.
But that's why they have IQ
knowledge.
tests. That's why they have like IQ tests to attempt, and even that's not perfect, but it's a way of attempting to work out
it
whether
falls far short of being
someone's
perfect.
brain
It's not
can-
even close to being perfect. It's just measures
It's
this
just
very
it
certain,
would,
specific kind of type of intelligence.
but it's an indicator, right? Like at one point, I said that I think Richard Hart is a genius, but not a galaxy brain, and in that sense, my definition of the transition from genius to galaxy brain is almost like, to be a galaxy brain, you almost have to be socially awkward. Like you're so smart that you're so specialized in your intellect in a certain area that
very narrow.
You've had to forego your social IQ and like your other types of intellect. You're definitely not
Richard
street
talked
smart.
about that.
I think Richard Hart is an incredibly hard
in the
worker.
intro to the show.
I think he's an
Talked about
incredibly
that
hard. Yeah, I think he's an
Oh, yeah.
incredibly hard worker.
He's a machine.
And
He's a
that's
freaking
that's
machine.
where his success comes from. That's what
He's a machine.
Yeah.
I openly admit that if I got as rich as him, as he did, or as rich as he is perceived to have got from a cryptocurrency, any kind of cryptocurrency venture, there's not a chance in shit that I would be doing work. There's not a chance in shit. So he is definitely more of a workaholic than me. He's more of a machine, like more driven to continue.
You don't know
to
that,
build.
man. Tangent. You don't know for sure, man. You don't know for sure, mate.
You are right. I agree with you 100% that you can't do hypotheticals. It's lying to your brain. You can't.
Yeah, it's true.
Hypotheticals are bullshit because you don't know how you will behave. You can only guess and imagine, and then you actually really need to be in that situation to know how you behave.
Hypotheticals are actually just your fears and desires.
To have access to that much, that level of wealth, that might inspire you to do something that you just say, like, no one else has access to what I have access to. I can do something that no one else has ever done. You might be inspired by that, when you're, because you can only like, although you
and
might
it's not
be
a static
the exception.
thing.
You might be the exception. I was about to say you can only party so much, but you might be the exception to that rule, bro.
you might be right.
Andrew, you can do it for decades, man. You can go for decades.
Once you've got that level of money, you can pay people to do all the stuff that's annoying about that challenge.
Yeah, if you can find the good people,
you
to
literally
do it
farm out
and
any aspect that you don't enjoy of that venture. You just literally pay someone else to do it.
Yeah, but that's harder than you think, to find the right people to do that, and then to be onto it that they're doing it and working on what you want to be working on.
I agree.
And then you've got to manage it as well. You've got to manage the people.
And that's a whole nother skill,
That's
managing
hard.
a whole group of people.
But first, self-love. Look at that. See, if you got someone special in your life, make sure you go and give her a self-love set. It's got one aphrodisiac perfume roller and a self-love body oil. Get that out and see how you go.
What about the
I love
plastic
it.
banana?
And a big bunch of flowers always goes down well.
Spin it up, see what happens.
Where do I get that from? I'm going to buy several.
Oh, that was just a little boutique down in.
I'm sure it will smell very nice.
In the paradise where I live.
Oh
Jexxa,
no,
are we good?
They're not for me. I'm going to give them away.
Get your brownie points
Are we
paid
good,
for.
Jexxa?
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
Okay.
You're not going to believe who won.
Hang on.
He's done it again. Hang on, I better give you a share so you can see.
Get out. Me.
No, not you.
Oh. Well, I want like when You said he's done it again, and I was the one who won last week.
No.
So I
won last week.
This person has been.
About tangent.
What are you trying to gaslight me, Bloobum?
What's gaslight? What does that mean?
Yeah, totally gaslight.
It's
What does
Dossa.
gaslight
It's
mean?
par excellence. It's
He's
par
like-
excellence.
this is
The
going to be like
original.
his sixth time or seventh time.
Yeah,
I
he has
think.
done it so many times.
The original.
Wow.
He's like this is the guy who actually is responsible for this segment.
He's
That's
back.
amazing.
So he only
Congratulations.
had a couple of weeks off, and then he's back on the throne, with the crown again. uNrekt,
Hold the champion.
uNrekt.
there.
I don't think I didn't see what you've done, uNrekt. You've only cast your vote today.
Oh, yeah, I tried to cheat.
And he still lost. And he still lost.
Yeah, pumped
He's
half a cent just
still
on the
lost.
show. Well, I pumped half a cent up to what it was when I cheated off what it said on the chart.
Now, well done, Dozza. You've that's a pretty special effort to do it that many times, mate.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a vote in. I totally forgot. So, and I don't think. Oh yeah, Bluey's there. Yep. So
Oh no, I voted twice.
uNrekt player. Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's last week. Oh, I must have voted twice.
And that's in between. How hilarious. The winning result was between your two guesses.
Yeah, so really the on-stream, does uNrekt get the on-stream vote or?
I did
43?
one last week, and I did this too. I did
43.
two. I did two. I did one last week, and the one, it depends if the one last week, well, at the right time is closer than the one that I did just before.
No, it's not.
No, I'm disqualified. I tried to game this. I tried to front run yous by waiting to the last minute to put it in. Yeah.
There you go, peeps. We'll do it all again next week. So make sure you get your votes in, and I better get mine in this time as well. And we'll do it all again.
uNrekt, disappointingly, all these self-love kits that I'm seeing on the internet are non-sexual.
No, you got to go to Bricks and Mortars shop, mate. Bricks and Mortars. Yeah, I got a game that you like, Ken. I got a game you like, mate. Do this. The Lords of Cannabis.
Lords of
Strategic
Cannabis.
game
Oh
of
my!
Reaping, Corruption, and Conquest. How about
I
that?
want all of this stuff that you've got.
You wanna,
Where-
hey, I got some party tricks, mate, for you. Don't worry about that. You gotta have a few tricks up your sleeve when you
Oh,
get
it's a board
old and
game.
weary like an old dog like me.
It's a board game. That's sick.
It's a board game. Yeah, it's called the Lords of Cannabis, and it's quite fun. I pulled it out last night. I had a couple of nice girls here, and we were trying to educate. I was trying to teach them how to play it, but it didn't really get that far. It's actually quite complicated. There's lots of little bits and pieces. Like you get like cards. You got like building conversions and stash cards and like seeds, and you got to build rails. And there's like mob boss. Once you're the mob boss, that means you're immune from the sheriff, and there's all kinds. It's fun, it's a bit of fun,
This
Sitting around
sounds like
tables.
they didn't do their market research, because that sounds way too difficult for being stoned.
Stoners.
Oh, it says
Do you wanna
it
be
says on
learned
the
when
back.
you're
It says on
stoned?
it, this game is for fun and not meant to be played with marijuana. So there you go.
Oh,
But
no.
that's a disclaimer.
Oh, no.
Disclaimer.
Lucky I didn't.
No longer interested.
Lucky I didn't press the buy button.
If you're, yeah, but I mean, if you're in the business, stick to the business. Don't partake in the profits of the cash.
This is not financial advice.
Don't get high on your own supply. That is financial advice.
There you go.
Financial advice for drug dealers.
Hexagons know how to have fun.
Do you guys remember those marijuana coins that actually used to pump when it would get around? So the 20th of the 4th, like the 20th day of April, all the pot coins would like pump in that. Those coins, I don't even think those coins really exist anymore.
No, there was pot. There was a pot one.
There was pot coin, and there was maybe like mull coin or something. There was several of them.
Dude, they had a roadmap.
What is the roadmap? What is-
They got started on it but never finished it.
A road.
It's just, dude, it just went too slow. They were driving too slow, man, on that roadmap.
How good would it be if on the roadmap it's like one of them's just like, ah, man, fuck it.
Let's go get something to eat.
I've got another really good game too. It's called Lucky Love Dice.
THC, that's it. THC was the other one.
It's pity Sammy
What are
wasn't
the
here.
What are the lucky love dice? What do you do with them?
Oh, it's like 3 dice, and it's like, okay, on one of it, it's like there's pictures of cars. There's a car, and there's a couch. There's a bed.
I think I know where this is
There's actually
going.
got a WC, and then this has got French. This has got different multilingual, but this is a bilingual dice. You roll this one, and it's got like ear, back of the neck, mouth, question mark, and a bottom, and then it's got another one that says lick. So basically, when you roll that, I think it means you got to like lick. If you roll it, it comes up. Okay, it comes up.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. We get
We
it.
get it. Yeah.
So if people get it
We
wrong,
don't need an example. We get it.
but people could get it wrong and end up licking a toilet.
Correct. Oh,
Like a
or
toilet
licking
in a
someone's
car.
bottom
No.
of
The
the
toilet. The first dice was the location.
No, you
Then
gotta
it's
get someone
location,
I get that,
body
but
part, act.
hey, I get that.
Oh,
but
but
go
you're
horribly
saying
wrong.
Okay.
I see a lot of ass kissing. People actually like kissing asses, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I thought they were like Benoit balls when you first said their love dice.
Are you talking
Wait.
about going ass to mouth?
No. I'm just an observation of my time on this planet.
Wait, so on the weekend, I was on this hammock with these 2 girls, and one of these chicks, her foot was right next to my head because she was sitting on the other side of it with her legs coming, like, so we were opposing each other. Like, imagine like scissors.
Top and tail.
And she, at one point, she turned her foot to the side and her toe went in my mouth, like unintentionally. Like, neither of us were intending for that shit. And then obviously we made some jokes about how some people are into that, and I was just like, damn, man, like that's horrific. Like, it was tragic.
You were repulsed by someone else's enjoying that.
That's something I never understood, the whole foot thing.
Well, her feet were not clean. We had been out partying. Like, this is.
So if it was a clean foot, you'd be okay with it?
I mean, I would be less not okay with it, but.
Okay.
Well, I heard about head jobs before, Tangent, but never a toe job.
People have weird fetishes, I know. But that's not what this show's about. Come on, let's move on to PulseChain.
We haven't even touched on PulseChain, have we?
Oh, yeah, PulseChain, guys.
So what was PulseChain named after?
How soon do you... Wait, do you think people are going to believe us? Do you think people are going to believe us in the future when we tell them, like, this is actually the origin of why this is called PulseChain? They're going to be like, fuck off. That is bullshit. You are lying to me.
I got the receipts for that one.
Hey, look, I will say that it is looking awesome. I'm really excited about crypto again. I mean, I love my hex stakes. I love hex code, but this is I just see it like there's a whole new world of opportunity there for people to provide some value.
Why don't we talk about Pulse for the last 15 minutes of this? Actually, talk about the Pulse testnet. Hey,
let's do it. Yeah, let's get into it.
Isn't it?
I think that's what everyone's here to see. Not us joking
Who jumped
around.
on? Has anyone done any stakes, delegated any Pulse? Has anyone actually delegated any Pulse?
I haven't got it on my screen because it's a separate computer. But
Jexxa, I noticed that there was a liquid loans validator.
Yeah, we've got
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so obviously it's a bit of a process. Anyone can nominate a node. So you spin up the hardware, you send in, I think it's 500,000 or 50,000, can't remember now. I think it's 500,000 Pulse to nominate your node. That obviously gets it registered on the site. and then everyone can come and vote for your node. And if you get enough votes to push yourself up into the top 33 validators there, then you go into what they call rotation. So you actually start producing blocks.
And there's a percentage, there's a number for your validator. Like every validator has a number out of 100. And that percentage, what does that relate to? Do you know?
Okay, yeah. So obviously, when we pay our transaction fees, that typically in most networks goes to the miners. In Pulse, it does the same thing, but a 25% split of that fee is burnt. Now, the remainder of that fee, the 75%, is divvied up between the person running the validator node and the people that have delegated their Pulse to that node. When you register your validator, you get to choose what that split looks like. So you'll see some are at 50%, some are at 90%, some are at 100%, meaning if 100%
David
of the board...
Feeders, Discourse Syndicate David Feeders is at 69%.
Of course it is. Yeah, so if it's set to 100%, then 100% of those fees that the miner would normally get are going to the delegators. Is the way that works. So then comes the argument, well, why would you go for anyone that's paying less than 100%? And it depends what other services they're offering on the network or what their infrastructure is. There may be a reason why you choose to go on their infrastructure.
Like Dave's going hardcore with his infrastructure of redundancy, geographical location redundancy, and that sort of thing. Yep. Have you guys who's actually running out of the team, or is that deliberately staying secret, or
for our team?
Yeah.
So we've got ours is hosted in a really good data center, so it's not on cloud like a AWS or something like that. It's actually
cool.
We've got our own metal running that has the ability to be able to be replicated across other DCs. And at the moment there's another Hexagon that's operating the node. So we've got one part of the team is actually managing the infrastructure, and then we've got a Hexagon who's helping us out with liquid loans stuff, but also running that node for us as well.
Someone actually asked me if there are going to be many Australians running. If I knew if there were many Australians running validating nodes.
Yeah, well, that's so if you're not aware,
Australian.
Yeah, so most of the liquid loans team we're spread around the world, but there's a vast majority of us that are in Australia, and we think it's important to have some nodes down this end of the world. That gives us more decentralization. And what's even more important is you don't want a heap of nodes running on AWS, because if AWS shits itself, everyone goes down. And arguably there's a lot of that in crypto where a lot of services are running on AWS. So we're saying everything's decentralized, but then we're relying on these centralized.
People were saying Ethereum goes down if AWS goes down, hey?
Yeah, well, I think Impura is probably running on AWS, I'd imagine. So yeah, we're trying to get some of that decentralization, and that comes back to, well, why would you stake with someone if they've got higher data center costs because they're not using cheaper cloud? So do you give up a bit of your earning to help support better decentralization and more redundancy?
Do we know the answer to this question? Is the 10 million PulseX stake limit for PulseX only for testnet? I assumed it was, but some people say otherwise. That's a good question.
I actually don't even, unless there's a technical reason for it, I don't understand why it exists. Because anyone, you say, you don't want whales taking over a position, like taking the vast majority in a pool, but they'll just split it up into multiple wallets anyway, if they wanted to do that. So there may be a technical reason, or maybe, and this is on the one-sided pools, isn't it? So there's obviously probably going to be more than one pool, I would imagine. Because this is where you earn the.
Well, Pools is
right.
on Pools is on PulseX as well. So yeah, there's pools and farms on PulseX, and I've noticed that there's a lot of they've copied some of the ideas from 1inch as well, the DEX aggregator. So in other words, like you can actually do a transaction swap and then send the swap coin to a different wallet.
Yeah, I
Things
did
like
notice that. That was good. Yeah. So has anyone actually used that feature?
I have used it.
Yeah, I used it. I used it. It worked.
I thought that was pretty good. That was a good idea. I haven't tried it out, but I did see it there. I was messing around with a few other things.
Yeah, still trying to, and that's what I'm trying to get my head around. I'm like going hard to try and understand the liquidity pools and it's like these stake LP tokens and earn incentive tokens. They've got it's like a placeholder or something on, and it looks like the incentive tokens get dropped in your wallet automatically. There's no.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think there's less uncertainty about the incentive token. I think everyone is aware that you'll get that if you're providing LP. But the party token, I still haven't found a good solid answer that anyone knows exactly what the mechanics of that is. Or
I don't. Risky is saying here. So
yeah,
I was going to say Risky answered that question about
correct,
AWS going down.
Yeah, that's correct. So the nodes are still assuming the nodes aren't being run on AWS.
Yeah,
which you wouldn't think they would be given the way the proof of work nature of it.
I can't wait to run a pulse node. Cannot wait. Definitely running one of them.
Yep. Yeah. So that's probably the good thing that's come out of all of this is hopefully everyone's getting a lot more educated on the importance of this sort of stuff. So I think there's something like 230 nodes or something that have been registered.
Wow. You got to run, guys. You got to run a node. You got to learn how to run a node. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. And I'm sure David Feeder is going to put a step-by-step tutorial out there on how to do it. And it's super easy. You just
I think you'd be able to run it on a Raspberry Pi even, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. You reckon?
I don't even know what a Raspberry Pi is.
Do you have to know how to do Go and all that kind of stuff and run it on a Ubuntu?
Look, there's
you could run it on Ubuntu.
Yeah, there's a little bit of technical work there, yeah, for sure.
I'm not just sitting around.
But there'll be a guide. Someone will do a guide. It's not hard. It's not that hard. Once the guide's there, you just basically copy what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
You know, what you're going to need is probably going to need a big storage, probably SSD, big storage, because it'll take a while.
Hard drive.
Yeah, I heard David Feeder talking to
not a hard drive. Not a hard disk drive. You want an SSD.
SSD.
Isn't an SSD a hard drive? Oh, I thought that was a hard drive.
A solid state hard drive.
Solid state drive, and then a hard disk drive. You know, a disk drive and SSD.
Come on, that's basically.
But you want
a
PCIe. You want a PC
technology.
You want the. You don't even want the SATA SSD. You want to get the
good quality
NVMe.
M.2, so that it just plugs straight into the motherboard.
Or yeah. You want that.
But this is just to run a node, so you're just tracking the blockchain. You're not actually validating.
But you want it to write quick. You want it to be up to date and write quick. You know what I mean? So you want a fast drive.
Speed.
Yep.
Make sure you're up to date.
Jexxa, before when you said the party token, I've been told that wasn't. It's that PRT stands for Pulse Reward Token or Pulse X Reward Token, and I think that mistake came in where it was under some other coin list. When you type PRT, it comes up as party token, but it's not.
I haven't found a good answer. Everyone's still confused on it.
Okay. So people are still okay.
The last time I checked,
it makes more sense, right? As in that's an acronym for.
No, it was up there, but PRT was it had pools, and that's about what the reward was.
It's there. It is there.
It's all there.
It
but
said
is
party.
Yeah. And I know K4K, he's right across all of this. And I know I was in the Pulse planning room and he was asking questions. So I figured he's spending a lot of time and energy into understanding all of this, and he wasn't even sure. So at that point, I went, well, obviously there's
still lots of questions we haven't got answered about.
Speaking of
how about where's the ETH? We never got an answer to that one. It's been like 2.5 years now. Still unanswered to this day.
On the blockchain. On the blockchain.
Well,
I love that answer, Bluey. I love that answer.
Speaking of unanswered questions, I've had a few people message me about the liquid loans Hex Maxi strategy. Let me just tell you a little bit about this, okay? Because with the Hedron thing, Alex said, like, gave me some props. I, with like tongue in cheek, said to Jexxa, hey, you should give me some props for like a Hex strategy, hey, because on stream, verifiably on stream, I said, hey, you can get a liquid loan, use it to buy Hex, and then at the end of the Hex stake, sell a little bit of the Hex to pay back the loan, right? Then swap it over and pay back the loan. And that was the extent of my strategy. I believe that there's been some creative license, like with percentages and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. About that. I don't know.
So Day 43 was like the Einstein of the theory.
Theoretical.
Overrated, overhyped.
Yeah. Bloobum ain't a fan.
and then all the practical guys have come in and actually put it to use.
There you go. So
you're in good company there, Day 43.
Don't read too much into that strategy, hey.
Well, Day 43, you may not be man of the century, but you might be man of the decade.
There you go. Guess who's winning Hexagon Legend next week? Right here.
That's all you crave.
All right, guys.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say,
what else has been seen on PulseChain that's interesting? We've got.
Should we talk about? I mean, it's going to be on Pulse, but like we didn't talk about Maximus DAO, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't be able to add much to the conversation, but happy to learn.
It's new, right? So just before we go into it, I believe it's someone that in the community has put this together.
Yeah, he's been on our show.
He's been Dipcatcher, yeah.
Dipcatcher.
Was that Dipcatcher?
Yeah.
So this is a contract, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's okay. So it's still unaudited, so it's going to be audited, I believe.
Being audited, I think.
It's being audited, and what it is, it's like fractionalizing Hex stakes. Is that correct?
Not exactly.
It is.
Yeah, that's kind of right.
Taking advantage of bigger pays better is my understanding. Is that?
Yeah. Yes. And there's a 30-day period.
Well, okay, so this is what happens. It'll be a contract. You send Hex to the contract. When you send Hex to that contract, you get back these maxi tokens, right?
1-to-1.
And so everybody's sending on.
It's giving your Hex to like having Hex to another smart contract right there. Why?
But we're assuming that it'll be.
Let me tell you.
Listen, uNrekt. Listen, uNrekt. Listen, mate.
So everybody's sending all of these Hex. Basically, they make one massive stake, right? And because you've owned part of that stake in maxi tokens, those can be traded along the way. And so what you're doing is you're getting the benefit of the longer, because they'll make it a Quattro Cinco stake, but they're also getting the benefit of the bigger pays better. So, and that could be, quite a nice little extra bit, right? So instead of you just making a small stake, you get that advantage of the bigger pays better, but also you get liquidity. So that, like, and when I say that, what I mean is let's say you go 5 days down the track and you want to sell some of those tokens, you can sell some of them. Or if you want to buy some of them, you'll buy some of them. And sometimes they'll be at a discount and sometimes they'll be at a premium. But basically they'll probably track the price of that stake. And,
So,
and
Bluey-
also at the end, you'll get all of the like those people who own Maxi, they'll get all of the hex from that stake, but they'll also get all of the Hedron at the end as well.
Do you need to have the Maxi at the end of that stake? Do you still need to hold the 1-to-1 Maxi to get all of your stake back? To get the, so you do need to have the Maxi at the end. So you can't really sell it.
Well, you can't just do it and then sell all of your Maxi and you're going to get the.
All right,
so it's more like an LP token, really.
The Maxi represents your ownership within that.
That's why it's fractionalized. That's why they said it's fractionalizing a stake.
And I think it's important to understand
part of that stake. Yeah,
I think it's important to understand that this is the benefit here is the bigger pays better bonus.
Yes,
that's the benefit here, and
it's
also
being able to like take out. Like if it goes up a huge amount in value, you can take out just 5% or 10% of what you spent and use that in the real world if that's what you want to do. Like with a normal stake, you have to wait. So that's also an advantage.
The difference, hang on, JFK, but the difference between Hedron and this is that the reason you might think about doing something like this is because you're taking advantage of the bigger pays better bonus. But it's worth pointing out that the bigger pays better bonus only really ramps up closer to that 150 million hex in the stake, right? So it's not a linear increase in bonus, okay? That's
10%,
not the way,
isn't it?
It's
Well, how does it
10%,
work?
but it's not a linear. The mathematics of it, I think it's like quadratic or something like that, like from memory.
Oh,
right. So it is quite an advantage if it's a really big stake.
If it's a big stake, then if it's 150 million hex or more in that stake, and you're going to know towards the end of the period because there's a window within which
and they've said it's going to be 14 days now. So the contract launches, it'll be 14 days.
Is this a rolling 14 days or is it a one-off stake?
I think it's a one-off, but there might be more.
The website,
but there might be more
like
contracts. But there might be more contracts in the future, and it might be the case.
It's one-off.
Those are the. Yeah, it's a one-off contract. Yeah, it's one-off stake.
No, but I thought it was like every 14 days it was going to keep doing it. No,
if you think
you wouldn't get enough. You wouldn't get enough economic energy.
Because well, imagine if they did it a second time, those Maxi tokens would have a different value depending on what the
That's
stake
what I was going to actually ask.
That's what I was saying. It would be
exactly
like
what I was going to ask. You said you could use the tokens to take part of your stake out, but those tokens are subject to the vagaries of a market. They can go up and they can go down.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It needs to be like an LP
though you're
token.
putting that much money and you know that you're going to get that portion of the stake back, because you've got the factor of what the token appreciation. I mean, it works both ways, of course. Appreciation or depreciation works, and if the token appreciates, holy hell, it's a multiplier and a multiplier. If the token depreciates, then you've got an issue.
It's more like an option, really, because by the time it comes around to finishing, the price of Maxi should be equal to.
Yeah, I get at the end,
guys.
You're saying at the end,
you're talking about two different things.
Halfway through, I mean, but then again, most hexagons are smart enough to take advantage of markets. If they're high, maybe that's the time to take some out.
Guys,
I mean,
it's
an interesting.
So you guys are talking about two different things. What JFK is saying is correct, but what he's talking about is that the token itself will be subject to supply and demand market forces that might mean that it's worth, and that's what Bloobum meant when he said a premium or a negative premium. And then the other side of it is actually what we were actually talking about was that you can't have a second round of doing it because depending on how much hex is contributed to the next stake, then you'd have two different values for the same token. So it would need to be like Maxi.
Maxi
have been B, Maxi C. Like it'd have to be a different token.
That's right.
But there has been talk. No, there has been talk. I mean, look, we should probably have someone who knows what they're talking about on here to talk about this. But Deepcatcher I think there has been talk about having subsequent contracts that give out the Maxi token and those Maxi tokens being interoperable. Maybe even this.
Yeah.
I think they maybe even be the same.
If it's
The bottom line is
that doesn't make sense,
Hex
does it?
shines.
I'm not sure.
Where
Yeah.
others help.
So I just to
couldn't be the
circle back on
same.
it because that it can be an option and it can be unique. So if it is treated like an LP token, then it's unique in that it's related to that pool or stake, but it is effectively an option because, like you say, it can be at a premium or a discount to the value of the stake, and that's exactly what an option behaves like, right up until the point where it's maturing.
Maybe if on the first round they hand out a 1-to-1, and then on subsequent rounds they just ratio it on what, so that you do get the correct amount of maxi, so you're not getting over or underpaid.
It'd be too hard because it's also got the Hedron attached to it as well. And if they launch it like soon, it'll have
true.
an exponent with the Hedron.
And not only that, you've also got the share rate that gets ratcheted up, so it's not simple.
It's
complicated.
I think uNrekt. It sounds like you were going to raise an objection in terms of the trustlessness. Is that what you were about to say? Like that effectively,
I was just
going
to make a point that please do your own research about these protocols where they're launched now, and just make sure you're comfortable with the level of risk. That's all.
Has this not been done before with HexMax? Was HexMax the same thing?
No, there was a smart contract that was basically you pay to play. So you pay 10% in and you pay 10% out, and you put your hex in there. You pay your 10% to play the game.
That's just an hourglass.
When you stake in, you get.
But wasn't there one of those? I know there was a number of different games built on it. Wasn't one of those taking advantage of the bigger pays better by pooling it all together?
Not toucanairs. No, I wouldn't. No, that was there was some. One of them was a scam. It was like a hex pools thing where you sent your money there and they collected it, and then they did a large stake on behalf of multiple users or something like that.
So I guess the takeaway is like it seems like it's all legit, but obviously be careful. You're just introducing more risk, but don't discount things. Do your research.
Oh, absolutely, because I think it's the best place still for anyone like dollar cost strategy now. If coming in with only learning about it, and there's a lot to get your head around. The hex staker on average something like 4,000, 5,000 x, and plus 38% APY on top of that. So that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Show me some other asset that's doing as good as that. I can't see one.
Okay, I'll throw one other quick thing. I don't know how we're going time-wise. Kira, that's floating around on PulseX? I don't know any.
All I know is we're getting it for free. What is it?
I don't know.
And it's airdrop.
That's all you need to know, Louis.
I'm wondering, has it got something to do with NFTs, or I'm not too sure.
The only other thing I know about it is it's like the same amount for every address. It's not pro rata depending on who.
And that's for pulse,
like
pulse sacrifices. That's for pulse sacrifices.
Pulse,
that
pulse. Yep.
Okay.
At the Miami conference, I told you guys in the chat, hey, but I ran into their Love.io CEO, and I was very impressed. Like, I had really couple of really long conversations with him, and they've got massive plans, and like with all of this, stuff, and they've got a lot of people working on it and stuff like that. And he's had like a lot of experience making companies from scratch, and turning them into multi-million-dollar companies and stuff like that. And don't even though, like, I know that when they came onto the Hex community, a lot of people thought, oh, it's a scam, they're just trying to milk hexagons for money, blah blah blah. It's worth doing your research on some of this stuff. He had some really good ideas, I think.
I think
nothing that I'm going to talk about.
I think
too
it was
much,
more about the way they infiltrated the community was what everyone was concerned about, because there was a lot of people that hadn't been visible around in the community, all of a sudden popping up like pictures of attractive women with now got Hex in their profile, and so it was probably more the way they were
Be careful out there.
We're big boys. We can deal with that.
Especially you, uNrekt. You be real careful.
Well, how long are we going to rabble on for? Because I've got to go and give a young lady a God's gift.
Well, see you later, buddy. See you later.
Don't let us stop you from playing behind the sausage.
Every week, uNrekt, he's going to get out of here and he wants to wind it up. Mate, you can go. We've got keys to the car. It's cool,
I've got
mate.
all the time in the world for you guys. I've got all the time in the world for
Take
the
the
Hex
camera in
community.
with you.
I'll just put this in the top pocket.
No.
I'll be down the road.
Fair call, mate. Fair call. We've been rattling on for 2 hours and almost 10 minutes. So
barely scratched the surface on that.
Hey, there's one thing I'd like to say about that last conversation, if I can, day 43.
Please.
And that's that actually having staked Hex in the case of Hedron and other things, or if you were lucky enough to have sacked on any other Richard Hart project, you will be getting this free money. That's actually the trick, is to get in on Richard Hart projects, and you can get the free money. You know, the free money.
It has value. It's not free. It has a value, and you've earned that by the behaviours that you demonstrated by staking your Hex staking.
Correct.
So I mean, you know,
I know the last
don't say it's free. It's not.
The last
it has a value.
We've been talking pretty technical about things within the ecosystem, but for those who might have got lost and still are hanging in there, I would say get Hex, stake Hex. Once PulseChain launches, there will be a mixture of dodgy and non-dodgy things that get dropped on you for free.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to do your own research at that stage and get into the things that are real. So, for example, Hedron, right? That happens if you're a Hex staker, and that's the best way. You will get free money. And I'm sorry, I disagree with uNrekt. It is free. It costs you fees on Ethereum, or even better, fees on Pulse. But, you know, that's that. No, that's my advice, is to just...
We're going...
Sexy is Pulse or PulseX, but Hex is where the real value still remains.
So we're entering the candy shop. Just got to be careful you don't get your hand caught in the jar.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. It's been my journey, and I retired a week and a half ago.
Manage your risk.
Financial advice.
I'm telling you right now, when Pulse starts, I'm gonna have blinders on.
Yeah.
You know?
Me too,
Same.
I mean, I'm gonna see what's going on, but I don't want to. I'm gonna try and block out all the bullshit because it's gonna be.
Do you know day 43 strategy?
Oh, I thought you meant the opposite 43. I thought you meant blinders on to block out all of life so that you can focus solely on all the shit that's going on PulseChain.
I will be doing that.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
Focusing, but I will be like blinders, like as in a racehorse has blinders to block out, you know, the peripheral vision.
It's like the launch of a new season for the television series that we've all been watching.
Yes.
Well, I for one will be really sad that Tangent won't be posting his party pics for 2 weeks after Pulse launches because he's going to be welded to his computer.
That's
but the party pics after it's finished launching.
That'll be good. Exactly. Then it'll be next
Looks like you have a lot of fun over there in the West. It's been a few years since I've been to Western Australia. How's it going over there?
Yeah, that's because we don't let anyone in.
Oh, that's still going, eh? Wow.
Is that still going over there?
No, special people are allowed in.
Oh, Queensland just got rid of their mandates. Queensland just got rid of mandates. Now we're just waiting on Victoria to wisen up and do the same.
Hey, how's the rain up there, uNrekt?
Hey, what?
How's the rain up there?
Oh, it's a beautiful sunny day today. It's pretty good. Oh, there's a few tinfoil hat theories about that one, but I better not open that can right now.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing as well.
Yeah. But look, hey, you know, what can you say? It's great to be with you all. I hope you're all doing wonderful out there in the world and wherever you are. And you know,
I think it's time to wind up. uNrekt, what do you reckon?
Thanks,
guys. JFK, last words.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. Jexxa.
Been definitely a variety show tonight, hasn't it? All sorts discussed, but yeah, good to have
been good
everyone
fun.
joining us in chat. Hopefully, we didn't talk over the top of each other too much. We're trying to
we
get
were
better at it, guys. We are trying to get better.
Bloobum.
We're failing. Listen to the start of this one, man. I was just like, people were just like this all over the shop. But that's what we're like. Take the good with the bad.
Chaos theory.
Tangent.
I agree with uNrekt and you too, mate.
Bursting with energy.
Like, as in, that's directed at uNrekt, like in terms of the enjoyment that we have when we're all streaming together and stuff.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. No, I love it. It's just
And,
we're all bursting with energy.
Shout out to everyone in the chat. We love you guys. You're awesome. We love all your comments. Keep commenting, and please hit the like if you enjoyed the stream. And we will see you next week. Peace.